Hello everybody, I'm here with Nemo, and today I'm going to hook up the logic for the Finding Nemo submarine voyage. And I'm also going to finish this toy box. But before I do, I want to remind you that this will be my last episode for a few weeks. I'm taking most of August off to enjoy the warm summer weather before fall arrives, and I'll return on Monday, August 30th, and when I do, I'll work exclusively on my Death Star Derby racetrack. And I'll keep working on that until it's finished. And that's all I'll work on. After that, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. So I haven't thought that far ahead, so don't ask. But anyway, let's go ahead and review the toys that I've placed ahead of time to save a little bit of time for us today. So we have a vehicle summoner, a time delayer, a button, and I've also already placed the path to start with, and I'll show you where the path points are. The first one is lined up at the top of those blocks there, like you see it, and oriented about like that, so that the curve kind of passes close to the loading area here. The next point is straight down and lined up with that little gap in that piece over there. The next point is right around the corner at those at the seam of those two plant clusters, and kind of centered between the plants on the left and the plants on the right, lined up with that fan down there. The next point is over here. Trying to get centered on the point so you can see exactly where it's placed. The exact placement, though, isn't quite so important. You just want it up above, and you want it moving past the scenery, kind of in the middle of the channel, so that the camera doesn't get caught as it follows the vehicle. And this piece, this point rather, is centered as you see it there. And then the last point is right here and kind of centered in this area here. So you can kind of see goes right down the middle of the channel here. Gets a little close to the edge here just because you want the player to be able to jump in. And then after that it stays far enough out from the edges so that the camera doesn't get caught on that as it follows the vehicle. So that's what we have. And if you look at the properties for the path, the only thing I've changed under here is I've set the looped flag on. And that's what I've done ahead of time to save a little bit of time. So let's come over to the vehicle summoner first, and we'll look at the properties for this. Under generated vehicle options, we want to orient along the path, and these other two properties are fine. And then we want to do a new path connection and connect the vehicle summoner to our path over here. Like that. And once again, under the properties for this, it's really important that this flag be left on, or the vehicle will not start moving along the path once it's generated. And then to generate the vehicle, we're going to wait till the player is ready to use it. So we'll come to our button, do a new logic connection when pressed, and once again we're going to connect up to a time delayer and start the delay. And the 1 second property under here is fine. If you want, you can change that to 2 seconds. On the time delayer, a new logic connection when the delay is completed. We'll come over to our vehicle summoner, and I'm going to come down to the toy box, and we're going to scroll almost all the way to the bottom. And I'm going to use the Spotted Eagle Ray vehicle. And this is from the Finding Dory playset. It's part of the last update that was made to Disney Infinity on the consoles. Now, if you do not have this on the PC, which I don't believe you do, even with a patch or a hack, then you're going to have to pick something else. And I'm not quite sure what I would recommend. You're going to want a flying vehicle because the path is above the ground. So maybe the enchanted bed. It's not the greatest, but that would work. Or there might be a power disc vehicle that could work. So you'll have to find something that you're happy with. Unfortunately, there's nothing that looks like a submarine, so you're kind of left at the mercy of whatever you've got. And I like that manta ray because it fits with the underwater theme. And then we need to remove the vehicle when we're done with the ride. And so to do that, I've set up a trigger area over here on top of this first little ramp piece. And it goes all the way up to the ceiling out here. So on this, we're going to do a new logic connection when entered by player, any. We'll come down to our vehicle summoner, go all the way to the bottom and remove all. And if, once again, that will take the vehicle out and save some memory. Okay, now that that is done, the next thing is to hook up the toy box doors to take us back to Main Street, USA, and to Fantasyland. And to save a little time, I've already placed the locators in those two toy boxes. Let me show you. Okay, so here in my Main Street, USA toy box, I've placed a locator, and I'll show you exactly where that's positioned. So it's directly underneath the monorail, and right centered with the Astro Orbiter ride. And I've set the door destination tag to 2. Okay, and here in Fantasyland, I've placed a locator right here. And I've set the door destination tag to 1 on that. I've also placed a trigger area here on the end of this, as well as a toy box door. And we're going to set the properties on the toy box door. The destination, we will link to an existing toy box. It'll be Tomorrowland. And we're going to set the destination locator tag to 1. That's where we want the player to go in the Tomorrowland toy box. And the trigger area up here, we'll do a new logic connection when entered by player, any. We'll come down and trigger the toy box door and change the level. And then we'll save the toy box here in Fantasyland. Okay, so now we just need to hook up those locators to the toy box doors in the Tomorrowland toy box. And so what we've got over here is I've set up a locator on this end, and I've set the property on this, or we will, so that the door destination tag will be 1. This is the tag that I set on the toy box door in Fantasyland, so this needs to match that. If you don't match that, then the player will not show up here when they come through that trigger area. They'll end up over at the start, at the entrance. So it's important that this number on this locator matches that door. And then we'll come down to our toy box door down here. And under the properties, we don't want to go to the Main Street USA toy box. We're going to link to an existing toy box, and we're going to go to Fantasyland. Okay. And the destination locator tag here needs to match the locator that we set over there, which is 1. And then we'll come up to our trigger area, do a new logic connection when entered by player, any. Come down to our toy box door and change the level. And now when we walk through that trigger area, that'll take us to Fantasyland, to that area right over by the Matterhorn. So that takes care of that one. And then back at the entrance over here, you want the player, when they come through here, to go back to Main Street USA to the Astro Orbiter ride and the entrance of Tomorrowland over there. And we don't need a locator over here because we have the starting pad. So what we'll do is come down to the toy box door that I placed ahead of time. And the properties under here are all fine. You don't have to do anything with that. And I've set up a trigger area here that stretches across the entire entrance. And I've also gone up a little ways in case the player wants to fly out of here. So on this trigger area, we'll do a new logic connection when entered by player any. We'll come down to the toy box door down here and change the level, and that will take us back to Main Street USA. Alright, the last thing we need to do in this toy box is set up a satellite receiver to detect when the day or night sky changes. But I'm not going to show you that again. You can go back to episode 27 and watch that. Just do the exact same thing here that we did for Fantasyland in that episode. Now, someone asked about what music I recommended playing in Tomorrowland. And I've listened to the different tracks available in the boombox. And there's several possibilities. If we come under Properties, go under Music, my recommendation, this is what I'm going to set my toy box to, it's under the Soothing category. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there's Wall-E Hover Chair. To me, this best matches the kind of music that's playing in Tomorrowland at the actual Disneyland. It is a little slow-paced, but it's optimistic, and it just fits the theme. If you don't like that, what you can do is come into the Whimsical category. This is another option. There's the Wall-E song under here. That would work. Or the third option, if you want something a little more upbeat, is under the Fun category. You could use the Ready for Fun. And if you want to listen to all of those and try them out and see what you think, let me know. Or just pick one, whatever you happen to like. And for me, for right now, I'm just going to leave this set at silence, just so that I don't turn on any music accidentally here and have YouTube censor my video. But that's it for Tomorrowland. The next time we return to this series, we'll move on to a new area of the park. And I haven't decided yet which area that will be. Adventureland got the next highest number of votes in my December poll, but I'm still working on that area, so we'll see what we do next. Meanwhile, I hope you've been enjoying this series so far. If so, leave a comment and let me know. If you're building this toy box on your own console or PC, then don't forget that I've got logic diagrams on my blog to help you out. You can also subscribe to my channel by clicking my photo in the lower right corner. Have a great day, and I'll see you again in a few weeks.